bring the June 16th Borough Council meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silent meditation. Call of the roll.
Mrs. Hackenberg?
Here.
Mrs. Ikes?
Here.
Ms. Lewis? Here. Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Russell?
Here.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Cooney?
Here.
Mrs. Metzger? Here. Mr. Rowe?
Here.
Mr. Rue?
Here.
Mr. Fetterman?
Here.
Looking for a motion for the approval of minutes of the Tuesday, May 19th council meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Lance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Linda. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next, a motion for the payment of bills. Bill list 2026-06 in the amount of $596,026.15.
So moved.
Motion by Lance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Matt. Any further discussion?
I have one question on this.
Yep.
So the fees that we pay to our engineer that are related to like plan development, do we get reimbursed those by the actual developer? Okay, so it's basically just like a pass through.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Ikes?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Metzger?
Yes. Next is visitors and public comment. Dr. Dady.
Yeah, we sent a letter to the borough, and we are, don't know if you've seen how much you've seen the east end of the property, but we're moving quite along with the stadium, but we're already planning on the next phase of what we want to do in regards to offerings for our students, which is the expansion of the ag program. And turning our ag department, which the high school has been renovated twice since the ag wing was built, which was 1960-something, 62 I believe it was. However, since 1962, the ag wing has not been renovated, even though the high school has been twice. And what we're looking at is developing what we are going to be terming a school of agriculture, which is about a 17,000 square foot addition to the space that's already there. It opens up a lot of stuff regarding educational opportunities, because right now we share a lot of space for the same programs, so there's a lot of lost instructional time in tearing up, or setting up and tearing down in between these classes. So it have its own designated wood shop, its own designated like regular shop for the tractors and things like that, as well as a, I would say, a more appropriate greenhouse, an actual greenhouse, and as well as a food lab and some things like that, including a meat processing area, which we've talked with the state about. We can actually hopefully it will be part of a program with them in which they would actually donate 12 beer a year for our students to practice them. And then that food goes to local food pantries in order to help fulfill what we're trying to do with the meat processing. Got a lot of donations for that so far, including, I don't know if those of you that have been around a while remember the Mince Moyer name, but Tom and his wife, in memory of his parents especially. His mom was a teacher for Mifflinburg for 30-some years, and Dad was an ag teacher for a few years, until he went to Penn State. They're going to sponsor the school. They put in a donation of about $800,000 in order to help sponsor this addition.
I'm sorry, what was the amount?
$800,000. They, which is fantastic, and because that's much less burden on the district and AKA taxpayers. how do we fund this? Because we're doing the same thing that we did with the stadium. We're trying to raise the funds before we build it. We're not borrowing any money for the stadium. And we'd like to get to that point with the ag, and we're off to a good start, because we're at about, with that donation, we're over halfway there. And we just started kind of the fundraising part of that project. And we have a grant out there that we're waiting from that would be pretty substantial. But anyway, as we get closer to this, where it's becoming more of a reality, met with Rob and Margaret about, okay, are there, anytime that we do this, there's been things that we had to make sure that hoops we have to jump through to keep everything above board. And here we are again, we're just wondering, what do we have to do to make sure that all of this goes through? And a couple of the issues we run up against in regards to this, one of them being animal husbandry, is I believe the technical room, because there is a small animals room as part of this addition.
Excuse me. I hate to interrupt, but would you mind going to the microphone?
Oh, yeah,
please?
sure.
I'm having terrible, I've got a fan or something.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Yep.
So in that letter, we kind of spelled out what we think some viable solutions are before we get too much further, and maybe jumping through a lot of hoops, maybe we don't have to, depending on what the appetite of the council is. In that letter, about partway down, we believe that the Ag Addition project is an essential resource to our students. We also believe it's an essential resource to our community. It's one of the primary aspects of the Mifflinburg School District as a whole. But due to potential delay or denial of the project for current zoning regulations, we're requesting the council please ask the Planning Commission to give its attention to reviewing the zoning ordinance and examining ways to reduce and or eliminate unnecessary hardship on the district. When you look at the top of the second page, that's where we give you some suggestions. While we would defer to the Planning Commission and the borough's legal counsel to determine the most suitable legal language that meets the needs of an evolving school district while maintaining appropriate restrictions to other uses and development within the borough, we offer the following considerations. And one of them is permitting school as a permit used by right within the residential suburban district. And because then if that's the case, we believe the curriculum would follow under restrictions by the borough, and that might resolve this. That's one solution. It wouldn't be uncommon. It's very much like vocational schools, to where if someone has an industry, all right, so like Zach back here, he has a lot of restrictions they have to go by for his craft. Where if it is a VOTech school, technically, like Sun Tech doesn't fall under those same restrictions because it's an educational entity. And that's what we're thinking it's the same thing that could happen here with things like animal husbandry. If we decide to do this with the School of Ag, and we can include those things, which provides, that's one of the issues, one of the curricular issues we believe in our Ag department that we're missing is the animal science part of it, and that's a huge part of our area. So if we could offer more in that, but in order to do that, we need animals, some animals there. And we're not looking at starting a farm there, but we would need, especially a small animal room, to be able to house some animals in there without breaking any rules. We have talked about a farm, by the way, but if we did that, we're looking in Buffalo, behind the intermediate school, because there's space there to do that. But that is much farther down the road, and not what we're really talking about here. So we're asking if you guys would be willing to direct the Planning Commission to look at those things and offer some suggestions regarding zoning ordinance that would make this easier as an educational entity as a whole. We'd really appreciate it. Be willing to answer any questions for you regarding that, or if Rob and Margaret, if I left anything out regarding our discussion with you guys and Renee, be happy to do that as well.
Does the second bullet both bullets have to occur. The second bullet is basically saying the municipality isn't going to regulate curriculum. In order to do that and have it work, we have to pass zoning that puts school as a permitted use. Or can we just do the second bullet and you guys are good to go, provided you don't break any other rules?
That's more of a legal question, I would say.
That's fair. There you go.
Does school have to be listed as a permitted use in the residential suburban district? I don't know if that second bullet, the way it's written, because part of this was written by our civil engineer,
Sure.
technically means would you be rezoning that area as something else to allow that? That I don't know. I think it just allowed school in the ordinance. Then I don't know how much of that second part of the language of that second bullet you need in there.
It feels like the second bullet is just like a policy choice in terms of how we're going to think about zoning. And the first bullet is like actual zoning change so you don't have to go through the hearings. Is that right, Rob? Is that the right way to think about that?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple different options here. Like Dr. Dady says, it just depends how you want to slice the bread. I would think if I was in his shoes, to not have any concerns moving forward with the things that are on the plate and on the table today, that changing to make their life easier as far as not going through the hearing process, you would
Forever.
add, I would say public school is what I would use in
Mhm.
that
Yeah, that's a good
terminology
idea.
as a permitted use. But also something along the lines, and I'm just we talked the other day, we used the word animal husbandry. I don't know if that's the right wording or not, it might be. That would also be allowed like at the public school, because then if they do decide to have chickens or whatever for the ag, school of ag, it's in black and white, then no one can say, well, they have chickens, okay, so they're allowed, right here it is in the ordinance. If you don't have it in there, down the road, if they want to get llamas and that's not in there, or alpacas, whatever, you know what I'm saying, there might be.
They spit too much.
You know, just give them kind of putting the nail in that coffin because it's black and white. As I always say, the best thing you can do with an ordinance is, if it's in black and white, there's no wavering from it. It's spelling it out. And I think that's kind of some of what, between the planning commission and you guys, you need to work out what that language is gonna be. And obviously, you know, Noah has to be involved in writing it in the end based on whatever the wishes are and within the legal ramifications.
I would have no objection to that.
Yeah, I would say, and, you know, I know the district and the borough has not had the best relationship in the past, but I would say over the 4 years that I've been here, I've found Rob and Margaret and our relationship to become stronger and stronger, which I really appreciate. I really appreciated sitting down with them the other day with Renee and working through this, because that's the relationship that we want with you. And, which is why I'm here, like, ag, now you're talking, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm a city, I grew up in the city, so when I saw ag here, I was like, oh, this is different, but it's truly a hidden gem that is a true necessity of this community. So I think anything that we can do, you know, sure, we're located in the borough, but you're talking about something that impacts even much more than the Mifflinburg School District in our community.
I have a question. I know when I taught there were students who came from Lewisburg and other school districts because they did not have an ag program. Are there still students who?
Yep, Lewisburg primarily, although I will tell you in this past year, we've been reached out by Milton, because Milton dissolved their program.
They did.
And right now, their students are going to Warrior Run, but again, there's not a lot of students at that one either, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Probably your strongest ag programs in the area right now is us in Midwest. But yes, Lewis, we currently have, I think it's 5 or 6 Lewisburg students.
So just understanding the second bullet, it almost reads to me like you're saying we don't regulate curriculum. It's a school. These are school functions. So if you put school in there as a permitted use, you can just set aside whatever the underlying curriculum is, because there's also VOTEC and shop and all that kind of stuff, which could be seen as an industrial use. So you're almost setting that aside and not necessarily defining it, but just understanding that a school is permitted, therefore we don't need to regulate whatever curriculum that school building is doing within
We
that
would
area.
just have to prove it's part of our curriculum if that was
Right.
the question, which we understand that.
Right.
I mean, we're not gonna bring a bunch of animals in just because we like to eat pork on days of the week or whatever, but that would actually be a curricular use.
Understood.
We completely understand that. Not, you know, we have no problem if that's, you know, the school is listed there, and so we're regulated by what we have in the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Because the school board decides that. The school
Certainly.
board controls curriculum. All right? No other questions? I'll be here for a few minutes in case you want to.
So what do we have to do? Nothing?
It is on the agenda later,
Yep.
if you wanted to
Just a
take
public
action.
comment.
It's the first item on the agenda.
I'd suggest you watch public comment first.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I'm good for now.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll just keep moving down. Next is the zoning report for May of 2026. Looking for a motion to pay the amount to the CK cog in the amount of $1,827.90.
So moved.
Motion by Lance, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Colby. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Lewis? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Hickes?
Yes.
Mrs. Hackenberg?
Yes. Next is action on ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2026-13.
Make a motion to move forward with resolution 2026-13, authorizing the application to PENNVEST.
Motion by Lance, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Colby. Any questions? I do have a question. So what is the cost? I know we had talked that it wouldn't be as much as the first time we submitted.
No, it's the same application.
Are you talking about our fees too?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm-
that's
sorry.
under, for consideration, under letter B, in the Borough Manager's report. But
Okay.
it's, not to exceed estimated fee of $7,600.
Okay. So that would actually, yeah,
So I think the budget sheet is in here, so it makes the total application, instead of 8,075,000, it's 8,083,000. It's down further.
okay. So, motion by Lance, second by Colby, for the resubmission. We'll do a roll call vote on that, please.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Hickes?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis? Yes. Mrs. Hackenberg?
Yes. Public safety report.
Thank you. Here's your monthly police department call summary in your packets. The Memorial Day parade went off with no issues. I issued a 15-2 letter to the folks of the 4th of July committee for the 4th of July 5K. Buggy day, we didn't have any issues with setup or barricades. The only one complaint we got was about the generator noise and fumes from a persistent resident. I did one mobile food vendor check. There were no issues there with someone who was setting up something for her daughter's soccer team. And we had one mobile food vendor operating without a permit as part of the elementary school track and field day. And we reached out to them, told them that they needed to get a permit, and then I received a call from a representative of the Elementary School Home School Association who said, well, they're done today, and we don't think they need a permit because it's a private event. I said, well, who are they selling food to? Well, whoever comes to the track and field days and the staff. And so I said, so it's not really private, you're not checking IDs or you're not sequestering. Well, no, but I said, well, they really should get a permit. And she said, well, they're done today and it's only half a day tomorrow, so I don't think they're gonna get one.
Did they get one?
Nope. Thank you. So, and right now, there aren't any teeth in the ordinance, because it's not an ordinance, it's a pilot program. So, Linda mentioned, I think at the work session, it's about time to firm this up and make an ordinance out of it, and I would have to agree with you. I think we closed a lot of the holes that we found, and man, did we find a lot. So I think it's tight enough now that we can start thinking about it becoming a real ordinance. Chief, your report.
I had to add, you guys have bullets 1 through 4, I had to add another one. Our application deadline ended June 8th. We received 1 application for the full-time police officer position by an individual who worked out of state, not currently actually certified as requested in the initial advertisement. Our new patrol vehicle is over at Keystone. We're actually just about done getting that upfitted, so we should have that back shortly. I would hope within the next week or so, and we'll have that in service. The July 4th parade, I think there was something that went out to council about Mifflinburg representing, if they wanted to send any equipment, anything like that. We're gonna put a police car in the parade, as long as you guys are good with it. Myself or Officer Martin will be representing us for the parade June 27th. In case anybody's getting any complaints that it seems like the police department is slow to respond to certain non-priority calls, if you look at some of our numbers, they don't really tell the whole tale. But for reference, May 1st to June 1st of last year, our department filed 6 criminal complaints. Criminal complaint is a criminal arrest, not a speeding ticket, not a non-traffic citation, an actual criminal complaint. Same time frame this year, we've had 13 criminal complaints. And if we added another couple weeks to the June 1st, I think we're up to 16. And other than that, I added number 5 today because I just placed the order, but we're getting, it's called the skim scan device. I don't know if anybody saw, Mahoning Township purchased one. There was something on the news about it. It's a device that we can go around and check for skimming devices on point of sale machines in the borough, ATMs, all that stuff. I spoke with some of the banks. They're all for it. They want us to check their ATMs, gas stations. We can go up, put this device in, and it will detect if there's any type of skimming devices on their stuff. So once we get that, it's an online training. We'll have that in service and, check with businesses. If anybody wants us to, regularly swing in and check their devices, we can check theirs as well, so. Other than that, just need some time in executive session.
That's everything for public safety.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment for the record on the complaint regarding Buggy Day and the generators. I was at Buggy Day for half of the event, and I don't remember detecting any odors other than the smell of good food. I don't remember detecting any fuel odors or anything like that. I think the complaint is specious. Enough said.
Thank you.
Okay. Mayor's report.
Two new items there. Tractor Supply grand opening is Saturday, June 20th, and there is a ribbon cutting. You're all welcome to join us. And that is at 07:55 in the morning. And then, so far, we've only had 2 interested parties contact me with regard to having food at our Thursday night concerts at the park. It's not something that makes a lot of money, so the folks that are contacting me are using it as sort of an educational asset of their own. For example, Scouts. The Scouts know they're gonna walk away with several $100s, but it's good for their Scouts to learn how to make change and deal with the public and grill burgers and so forth. So I think we'll end up with a handful, but not like when we started it and people thought it was gonna be a big windfall for them. You can see the comments and questions I received from citizenry. I don't see anything else worth mentioning. You can read them at your leisure. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Manager's report and action items.
I don't know what it is about this room, but it really, I've been coughing and, sorry, I'm not sick. It's just when I walk in here. So first up is a consideration of a request from the school district about the zoning ordinance. So if you would like to discuss this and make a referral, it's an agenda item here.
Can we do this without the planning commission, or does it have to come from the planning commission? Can we just revise the zoning ordinance? And
Yes.
basically do the 2 bullet points, add public school, I think that's a decent point from Rob, as a permitted use, and then make the policy choice that we don't regulate curriculum.
You can amend your zoning ordinance unilaterally.
I'm supportive of that. I think it's worth talking about, but I don't think this needs to be.
Draw it out for another month.
That is the way to
That's
say
it?
it, correct, yeah. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Don, you're okay with that? I mean, do you have any comment on this, since you're,
We serve at your grace.
and you do it well?
Yeah, my trust is not relaxed.
Mr. Solicitor, doesn't it require to go to the planning commission for their review?
It's not, I mean, they can review it, it's not required.
I thought the municipality planning could require it.
I mean, I'll double check, but I don't think so. We have to send it to the county for review
Yep,
whenever we
I
do
know
something
that.
like this, which makes the process a little longer. That's a 45-day lead time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't believe so. I don't believe it has to go. Because zoning is not just the purview of the planning commission, it's also the zoning hearing board deals with it, so it's really borough council's prerogative to do it as they wish.
Do you have anything to say, Don, about this?
Other than what I've already said?
Oh, yeah,
No, nothing.
okay.
You know, we've got plenty on our agendas right now, and, you know, as I said, we do what you tell us to do.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add?
Would that require a motion?
Be appreciated. Not necessarily. You can direct me to put together the ordinance
Yeah.
unless you intend to advertise it.
I was going to say, so what's the advertising rule? Do we want to review this before we make a motion to advertise it, or is this straightforward enough that folks?
I think this is a simple change
Okay,
that I
great.
don't. I mean, that's up to you if you'd like to review what I put together first. The advertising requirements. It's still they're actually a little different with zoning, but it's about the same lead time. You wouldn't be able to vote on it at the next meeting. It would be the following meeting because I need time to send it to county zoning planning first to review and approve prior to moving it
So
forward.
it'd be August.
So it'd be August, yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to advertise this change with the solicitor's understanding of what has been shared, that is adding public school as a permitted use in the residential suburban zoning district. And then the other piece doesn't need to be part of the
Correct.
written ordinance, that's a policy choice. And I would ask that it be advertised in the Free Press and the Union County Times and not the Daily Item. So that's the motion.
Okay, motion by Lance, is there a second? Second by Linda. Any further discussion?
Does that meet the advertising requirement?
It will by August, yes. I'll have to move quick, but I can do it.
It's the Free Press is a weekly paper.
Yep.
As is the Union County.
Yeah, we've since we did it last time, me and my legal assistant have got it figured out for contacting the Free Press. I'll just have to move quick, but I'll get it done quick.
I was gonna ask the same question, because I know we ran into a problem with that before.
It was a little difficult advertising in the Free Press as compared to the Daily Item, but not in any way that was, we got over the hump, not a big deal. So.
Well, and that would still give planning commission a chance to review it at next meeting and come back if you have any concerns, if the planning commission has any concerns. Perfect. All right, motion by Lance, second by Linda. Anything else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, moving on down the list then. Next up, we have the engineering proposal from HRG for the supplement for the July 2026 PENNVEST application assistance. As we said, I think it's $7,600 for them to help us with the submission.
What are the wishes of council?
I'll make a motion to approve the supplement number 1 PENNVEST application resubmission for $7,600.
Motion by Lance, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mara. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Hykes?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Hackenberg?
Yes.
Okay, speaking of the PENNVEST, we are required to provide a letter of responsibility to PENNVEST in conjunction with the application. That's what we're basically responsible for the debt.
Can I also add that we need to advertise for a public notice associated with the categorical exclusion of the uniform environmental review process? You did it last time, and DEP is asking that the borough do it again. It's a 30-day public notice that needs to be completed prior to the application deadline. And so that needs to be done in the next couple of weeks here.
Can we do that tonight if we amend the agenda? Okay, so I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include consideration of the DEP's required environmental categorical exclusion public notice advertisement.
Second.
Okay.
By Lance,
And then
second by Colby. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And then I will make a motion to advertise the uniform environmental categorical exclusion as required by PENNVEST or DEP prior to the PENNVEST application in the Free Press and the Union County Times and not the Daily Item.
Motion by Lance, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Colby. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect.
Back to the submission of the letter of responsibility.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we
There it is.
authorize the submission of the letter of responsibility to PENNVEST in conjunction with the application.
Motion by Colby, is there a second? Second by Linda. Any further discussion? Roll call vote on that.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Hykes?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hackenberg?
Yes.
Sorry about that, Margaret.
That's okay.
I thought we could like lump that in somehow, but the way that it worked out, fine, whatever.
All right, then, we're on to, no, I don't know, this is now D, it's D on the original, or
Yeah.
D on the revised?
Well,
Consideration of the proposal from HRG for the capital needs assessment, financing strategy, funding mechanism review, and budget rate analysis in the amount of $46,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the capital needs assessment, financing strategy, funding, mechanism review, and budget rate analysis from HRG in the amount of $46,000.
motion by Lance, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Matt. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Hykes?
Yes.
Or should I say Mrs. Hykes? Ms. Lewis? No. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Hackenberg?
Yes.
Okay, I was asked to obtain general services engineering proposal from utility engineers for electrical engineering services. I had sent out a sample, and there's a draft in your package. They just use a pretty standardized contract. I believe that Lance had some amendments that he wished to see.
Yeah. So I can talk about some of them here. If we get into it too much, it's better for attorney advisement. But I think just some revisions to scope. So I sent those, or Margaret really provided them by email to me. And then also a cooperation paragraph that more or less says that if we get like a right to know request or audit stuff, I'm sure Norm does this anyway, but just having it in writing is a good idea. Indemnification and hold harmless. And then the big one for me is the liability number needs to be stricken. So right now the contract is limited to 25,000. I think it's the greater of 25,000 or actual amount paid to utility engineers PC, and that is too low. So those are the points of feedback that I would basically like to counter to Norm.
Obviously, this isn't, something that I can get an answer on tonight. It would be something, that we would have to go back to utility engineers and Norm with for the changes. So if there is anything else, or if everyone does not agree with the proposed changes as outlined,
Are the changes, or Lance's changes on this?
No,
Oh. Do we have Lance's changes?
no.
I mean,
I emailed them to Margaret today. I wasn't sure, candidly, what I could send by email and what had to be discussed here. So I tried to give Margaret and Noah a heads up, but they didn't really have time to go through it. Margaret did an excellent job laying out like what the scope is, and I think that probably is uncontroversial. If the other items, I think if there's disagreement on some of the other items, I would probably ask Noah to tag in and do it in an executive session.
and those things are what you just said?
Yeah, so the indemnification, right? The cooperation isn't controversial, that's just an administrative thing, and the liability number.
Is that something we should talk about in executive session?
Yes.
Okay, well then we'll just add that to,
Also, just going back, just for a moment of privilege, Rob was correct about the planning commission, as he often is about such things. So I wanted to get that on the record.
So do we need to undo?
No, we're still good because it'll still have time, and it'll all still be able to get done in time. It's a 30 to 7 day advertising period, like normal. So all's well. Thanks, Rob. I apologize.
Okay.
so we're tabling E. And the next step is a request that we received from the Rusty Rail Brewing for a standalone water service to their property, currently known as the overflow parking area, where they will be having a new outdoor garden, and I'll say project space, I believe it's an ops garden, that would be out in that area, and, they want the water service just to serve that area, to water those things. As you know, with the EDU prohibition, couldn't have anything more there. We can't allow it because we don't have that, but this would just be for service. I believe that the questions, and I had sent this to Noah for his review previously, the questions are, generally speaking, there's one water service per property unless it's approved separately by council, so that's why you're hearing about this now. There would be a tapping fee that would still have to be paid because it's a water service. And then I believe the applicant pays for the pit, and the borough supplies the meter in the pit, and it has to be recorded in the specification so it doesn't freeze or whatever. And then you would certainly tell them in the approval letter that, it's for this specific use only. Did I hit it all correctly?
Yes.
So the reason it's before you is because of those.
And it's the
couple
same
items.
billing as everything else that includes water and sewer, even though there's no sewer, just the water.
This is a water-only service. We have a few of them otherwise, like throughout, actually at Ritz-Craft, there's another one where they, I believe, test the plumbing in the homes outside, and the water just drains out onto the ground, so it's not, they're not charged a sewer
Right.
service for that. There might be one at the school district for watering, in the one area. There's a few other places like that where it just runs onto the ground because that's the.
Okay,
make a motion that we approve the request from the Rusty Rail Brewing for the standalone water service to their property, currently known as the overflow parking area.
Second.
Motion by Colby, second by Lance. Any further discussion?
I'm hesitant to approve some source of potable water that is solely for the use of landscaping, knowing that we have limited water. We have a limited water source. And we'll be looking for a different water source in the future. So that concerns me, that knowing that this is not going for any kind of human consumption, it's only going for landscaping. We should consider being a little more conservative with where we send our potable water.
Maybe put a limit on it? I'm just asking.
Well, it probably wouldn't be used like all year, right?
No, it wouldn't be. I mean, when it rains, it's just in hot days like this. I mean, there's a 150-year-old elm tree out there we're trying to preserve to keep alive. And just the landscaping around the area, which again is right against the rails and trails. We just want to beautify the area. And that's our intent, is to water plants out there versus trying to truck water in or anything else like that. It's just to try to keep the area nice. I had a question earlier because I know with the 250th anniversary of fireworks, we typically allow the fireworks on our property, which I haven't gotten a phone call yet about, but usually it's 3 days before. Tracy usually helped me out there, so thank you. But that's our goal, especially with the big celebration coming up and what's going on in the park. And if anyone wanders over on the rails and trails, we just want to make sure it's a nice area and that stuff stays alive. Especially a very old tree that, if you haven't noticed, we do try to revitalize the area with what we're doing with the mill and the rail and just other buildings. We want to preserve that area.
And we don't limit residents. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And then we go kind of for the water. If I'm sitting out there with a hose, watering the garden.
And we're approving this specifically knowing what they're going to do with it, when there's other means of being able to water landscaping that doesn't require potable water source. You could capture rainwater, you could use the springs, there's other ways of watering the landscaping without tapping into our finite water sources. My only concern.
I emphatically agree with Colby. I like very emphatically. If we're gonna regulate outdoor water use, the car washes, we should be down there picketing. I understand the conservation sentiment, but I don't see how we can single out these guys on this one. So.
Anybody else? So the motion is by Colby, seconded by Lance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
You opposed?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next item, we received a request from, the Child Evangelism Fellowship of Snyder and Union Counties to use the park for a 5-day club. And, it would be July 27th through July 31st, 2026, from 11:15 to 2:45. I believe they did this last year. There is, the library has their, I think it's Thursdays, they have their reading program at the park. So this group would just have to use Pavilion 2 during that day. I did speak with both of them, both the library and the Child Evangelism Fellowship folks as well, to make sure that would work. So looking for your approval for them to have this event.
I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Child Evangelism Fellowship of Snyder and Union Counties, Inc. to use the park for their 5-day club from July 27th through July 31st, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Colby, second by Mara. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Rob, do you want to do an application?
In packets, council, for tonight's meeting is a payout for our Cherry Street Sewer Project. It is from Midstate Paving. It's payout number 2. The total amount for this pay application is $39,756.15, asking for council's authorization for payment at number 2 in that amount.
wishes of council?
I will make that motion.
Motion by Lance, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mara. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Hickes?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenberg?
Yes.
The next two items, consideration of the draft short-term rental ordinance and the draft zoning ordinance come from Noah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna let him tackle those.
Sure. I apologize that you got these today. There's a couple of ordinances here. Planning Commission spent significant time, and they can tell you all about it, working on this. These are the final versions that they produced after a long time of working through them. The reason there's a couple is because one of them is an amendment to the zoning ordinance because it's setting forth where you're allowing these to be. So I'll start there. These propose allowing it as a conditional use in the residential suburban district, the residential urban district, the downtown district as a permitted use. It's a permitted use in the RMH district, the general commercial district.
Which one are we talking about?
I'm talking about 2026-04. Sorry about that. And also allowed in the Ag district as a permitted use. So you've got it in conditional use for residential suburban, residential urban, and everywhere else it's considered permitted. And then there's also a section regarding off-street parking, which allows for requires one off-street parking site per dwelling unit in the short-term rental. That's 04. 05 is the actual short-term rental ordinance itself. So there are definitions, some general regulations, occupancy requirements, safety regulations, prohibitive activities, and rules for enforcement. And then finally, there's another ordinance that's in front of you for consideration, 06, and this I've termed our omnibus zoning ordinance update. There's a couple of items that Rob had made me aware of that we needed to resolve. I'll be done here in just a second. So the first one is for the application of regulations at 29-1064. This in particular deals with what does the borough do when there's a use not provided for. So meaning it's not explicitly allowed within the zoning ordinance otherwise. This would cause that to be automatically a conditional use that would then come to this body as borough council for their review and imposition of conditions. So it's a catch-all provision in case something's not covered in your zoning ordinance, which is especially wise in the days of things like solar farms, data centers, etc. Impervious surface needed a new definition to be in compliance with the SALDO and be the same. So that change is made. This also memorializes which buildings are in the National Historic District, because right now it's just a list in Margaret's office, as I understand it, with an appendix reference in the ordinance. So those are the changes there. I'm certainly happy to entertain any questions regarding the ordinances specifically.
So, question with regard to the second one, about the actual ordinance about the short-term rental.
Yes, sir.
In talking to folks from the planning commission, they said there was never a vote taken with regard to what was gonna be in it, because I see left out here, there's nothing in here about not renting to drug felons, and according to what I was told, only 2 people objected to it at planning commission, and yet here's the ordinance, and that's not mentioned.
They did not request that change be inserted. I can be correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn. I don't recall that being formally, it was discussed briefly, but there was no formal action taken, and I was not directed to add that to the ordinance text.
Dave, just so I understand so I know the long-term rental has the whole thing
That's
about the drug
correct.
fellas, but you're insinuating that you're asking why if it's not included in the short-term rental?
Yes.
So just out of curiosity, if like my neighbors have a bed and breakfast, which is
Right.
a short-term rental, or not a bed and breakfast, a STR. So what you're saying is like you would screen for those people?
Absolutely.
For
Because this-
short, but
this-
for a short-term rental, it could be somebody's coming and staying just for a couple of days.
Well, it says 30 days and it can be renewed. So that opens this up to someone with a big heart and a desire to do so, to say, I have a bed and breakfast, I'm gonna rent it to this person because they need some rehab time. So I'm gonna rent it to them for 30 days.
I think this is a really good conversation, but given when we got this, I'm going to make a motion to table this for now. I think we should revisit in a work session, and then really come back to us. There's going to be a lot of dialogue on, I think, all of this.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah,
I didn't have time to review it,
it-
seeing it was sent at 11:04 this morning.
These were just
Exactly.
informational for us for tonight.
It's just for consideration,
Right,
yes.
it's just for consideration.
Not for
We didn't-
any action.
We weren't acting on it.
Correct.
Yeah, these are up for vote.
Right.
You guys haven't seen them yet, that's why.
Right, right.
I was just wanting to know what his, I didn't know where he was going with what he was getting at. That's why I just want to make sure I'm clear.
So
Did that
actually,
answer your
what,
question?
Yes, it did, thank you.
so what folks should do is read over them, come back with your questions, and we'll discuss it at the work session.
You have to finish that.
Yep.
You need to vote.
Yeah,
Okay,
motion.
right, but I mean, that's what you're getting at, right, Lance? Like,
I am, right? Like, I think we should talk about it, but we have a big day tomorrow, and
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep.
with What you meant, okay.
July is PMEA. Okay, so July might also end up being a long meeting potentially, but I think it's worth having on the agenda in the work sessions until council is in a place where we feel like we're ready to like take a vote on it. Yeah, so that feels right to me.
So the motion was from Lance, seconded by Colby, and that was for ordinance 2026-04, 05, and 06.
Yeah, so
correct?
original items I and J, I believe. Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Correct.
Okay,
And that's the work session.
to
Yeah.
add it to a work session.
Yeah, table
Right,
it.
table it tonight and add it to it. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next two items are typical requirements when we have subdivision plans. These actually came in right after the last council meeting, so we've had them a little bit. I almost forgot them this time, but they're due for your action. If you'd like Rob to go into a little more detail about them, he probably should.
Might put you to sleep, but basically, anytime we have land development or a major subdivision like, trying to remember the most recent ones, Dave Gutierrez's development out on 8th Street that he did here back in 2018. They're required to sign what's called stormwater management maintenance agreements, so any of the stormwater occurrences that are associated with the development, that kind of sets the tone as to who has to maintain them and how long, and it's usually forever. And then the developer agreement is just kind of the same thing, spelling out what things they have to take care of associated with their development. In this case, it's regarding the Sheetz store. It's a requirement. Their stormwater controls there are just everything is like on the pavement. There are inlets and manholes that associated that and eventually empty into our storm system. So basically, anything on their property, the borough's not going to maintain because it's private property. It's their infrastructure. Just spells out that they have to maintain. In a nutshell, in the summary, that's kind of what it is. Noah has reviewed these, as I said before. I think we had one 2 months ago, because I think Lance questioned.
Yep.
They're normally standard language. We have a template that they use. We give it to them, and they just change the names, and it gets.
So this is new Sheetz is doing some big projects.
No, Sheetz, the Sheetz store renovation, actually, the plan was already approved and recorded, I can't talk today, recorded. They are doing a renovation, they're not tearing the store down. In some cases, they usually just tear the store down. In this case, they're not, they're just doing a full gut. And the one thing they are doing is they're tearing down the canopy and changing the pump islands around, and it's actually getting smaller. So it did not trigger them in the land development. What triggered them in the land development, they extended a little bit of their paving parking area, which triggered the stormwater controls, and they just submitted a drainage plan. And because they had to do that, then these are part of that, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve Sheetz Stormwater Management Agreement and Sheetz Development Agreement.
Second.
Motion by Colby, seconded by Matt, and any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yep. In your packet for tonight's council meeting is the project manager report. I'll just touch the highlights. The leak in Limestone Township regarding their water usage or water loss up there still continues. Last reads were about 468,000, almost 470,000, let's say, difference. So there's 470,000 gallons of water in the last month that has been lost. I know Margaret had reached out to West Buffalo Township and she was having some issues. I did want to mention as far as getting a hold of Limestone Township. Remember, we have to notify both townships based on our intermunicipal agreement, and the problem is since the authority has been dissolved in Limestone Township, she's had some issues trying to get in touch with a body there to know who to send the letter to. So West Buffalo's been warned that it's coming in August. I don't know what you're gonna do with Limestone and how you're gonna do them separately at the same time. I'm not sure.
I tried the minutes to see if I could see the dissolution in the minutes. I couldn't really find that anywhere. Their minutes aren't up to date. I tried calling there's two different numbers for the offices there, left voicemails. I haven't heard anything back, so I'm not really sure.
Are
And I
there
can
any-
just send it, I can just send a letter to the township. I'm just not sure it's
Yeah.
getting to the right party
Can
that
I-
way.
Go ahead, Bev, you were gonna say something.
So if, you know, folks get their bill, is there a number on their bill, the residents up there, like, who they contact if there's an issue? Like, maybe we could find somebody.
I can do that. Can
Is
I
that
also,
where your parents are? Oh, thanks.
I'd also like to request executive session for attorney advisement on Limestone Township.
Okay. Can I move on?
Yep.
Okay. Walnut Street reconstruction, 200, 300 blocks. The engineer has told me here last week that GNR Charles has got everything in, and we should be scheduling a pre-con here. We're trying to set up for Friday, but has not got confirmation back from the contractor yet. Cherry Street, we just approved pay app number 2, just so you know, all the piping work has been done. I think I reported that last month, but paving, base paving is gonna commence probably. They're trying to try and start the end of this week. So that alleyway will probably be closed a little bit, and then top coat pave they'll have the milling and a top coat pave, they'll pave then thereafter, so probably next week. So everything's still anticipated to be complete before the 4th. I guess the biggest news on the H2O project, I think it's important to note that we had a conference call, as in Dave Madel, our engineer, and I, with a DCED in regards to the grant expiration, and tried to, I guess, see if we could push the date or get an extension. They were adamant we cannot, so we have to be diligent and try to spend down that and get as much invoiced prior to September 30th. So we're aware of that. We've had a conversation. They gave us some paperwork here to take care of as far as reimbursements, which we're gonna try and get that spent down as much as we can. I guess the bad news also, in addition to that, Usemco, which is the building manufacturer, reported to us when they checked in, when HRG checked in with them, that the building will not be here until October now, which they originally told us end of August, I think, originally.
When did we order it?
I can tell you in a minute.
So why he's looking for that, but just wanted to mention, that was the case with that. So that will hold up that project getting finished. We can build the water line and stuff. Aside from that, we were having some conversations about that, but just let you know where things stand. I think we mentioned a work session. I will mention again that we had a break on the mountain line again here at the end of the month, at the end of May rather. And we talked about the ag edition.
December 22nd, 2025 is when the PO was authorized.
And they told us at that time it's gonna be like 6-7 months lead time, I think. And we're gonna be past that.
Now, the good thing is we've already been making progress payments on that equipment that can be reimbursed by the grant. And DCED has indicated that they still need the project to be complete in order to reimburse the borough with the funds that have been paid out thus far. So with the general contract, all the water stuff, we should be okay to spend down all of that grant money because the total project cost is greater than what the grant is. Sorry, Rob.
It's okay.
Sort of that.
We talked a little bit about the high school ag edition project that Dr. Dady is here discussing. We had a long discussion about that, but I did want to mention with that project, they requested, them and their engineer requested us submit a exception to the ban as far as our EDU ban to DEP. That was filed and submitted to DEP this week, actually yesterday. We're working on a bunch of information yet on, I'll say, side stream treatment processes. I don't know what the right terminology is, mobile treatment, all that yet. We're still looking into those as far as some options at the temporary treatment at the sewer plant to handle those wet weather flows, as we call it. I guess the big news there is I think Margaret sent an email out, but I'll just remind you that HRG prepared our draft of our cap to the response to the administrative order, and Margaret finalized it and sent it in to DEP on the 11th of this month. So the one thing I did forget to add, and the guys, if they knew this, they'd probably hate me for it, but we had our annual FIPI review, which means we had our annual water treatment plant inspection regarding our filters with DEP, and we got glowing review, and they actually said we're getting awarded.
Yeah. It's
So-
finally deemed as commendable, and we'll get an award next year.
So next year at the conference, the guys in the borough will get an award for their, so if you see Dave and Brent, pay them a compliment.
Attaboy.
For what it's worth, it's very difficult to get this rating. Like, they don't give them out very often, honestly.
And they come and review. It's not annually, is it? It's like
I think it's every 3
3
years. I said annually, yeah.
Yeah, I think they do it every 3 years, and they give you a to-do list. And you
Yeah.
have to tackle the items, that they give you on the to-do list.
And we've been working hard to make sure everything's been addressed, that they were excited about that. So now we got, an award for doing a really good job at the water plant, but yet our sewer system had the worst in the state, so.
That equals out.
I would request an executive session for personnel matters, attorney advisement, potential litigation at some point.
I spoke with George to discuss
The most recent one was attorney advisement for Limestone Township.
Any other business is the only thing left on that part.
Right. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed before we go into executive session? It is 7.